guys, we're back with a new installment of our Master the Moves mini-series as we strive to make the Oasis easier for you and on you. With this video, I plan on picking up the pace just a bit, so bear with me. Feel free to shoot me any questions by commenting on this video, and with that, let's go ahead and jump right into M1820. Now, as it pertains to dressing the lower body, we want to assess our patient's ability to safely obtain, put on, and remove their lower body garments, which may even include the donning of prosthetics, orthotics, or even anti-embolism stockings, depending on your patient. And what better way to assess our patient's capacity to do those things than to have them or their caregiver run down their typical dressing routine as we observe and assess their spinal flexion, their joint range of motion, shoulder and upper arm strength, their manual dexterity, and even their environmental conditions and their cognitive capacity concurrently. So once we got a really good look at what they can do, we want to translate our findings into the correct Oasis response. And this is where I like to break down my MOO into those color-coded segments and scale it down from independent to needed assistance, all the way down to dependent, hence green, yellow, and red respectively. That just directs me through a quick process of elimination, and it allows me to narrow down my choices, being that most of my patients tend to fall within that yellowish, need some assistance category. So typically I find myself deciding between either one or two. Now, some clinicians like to start gauging their patients from top to bottom and work their way up. Either way works, whatever you prefer, but I did find that knowing the slight differences between response 1 and 2 was most helpful to me. Therefore, I want you to select response 1 if your patient can safely put on and take off their lower body items and supportive devices once they've been retrieved or laid out for them. But unfortunately, they're unable to safely access the location where they typically keep or store those things. I want you to select response 2 if your patient requires standby assistance or even something as simple as a verbal cue or reminder on how to safely dress their lower body. Now with that, there are some significant nuances or conventions that we need to account for, such that number 1, we need to consider what they routinely wear. As for number 2, we want to choose the response that best represents what our patient is able to do more than 50% of the time, which you know my stance here. I prefer to go with what I assess and see on that day of care. As for number 3, in cases where our patient's ability differs for various tasks, so they may be independent when it comes to putting on their slacks, but they may need a spotter to put on their shoes, for example. We want to code the response that best represents their ability for the majority of the tasks at hand. Hence, if they're able to safely obtain, put on, and take off 3 of those 4 clothing items independently, then we're going to go with response 0. For number 4, remember that it is permissible to collaborate with your fellow agency staff members that has had direct contact with your patient, as long as you collaborate within that allowed time frame for that Oasis type. And 5th and finally, I must reiterate the importance of safety. Therefore, no matter how big or small, I want you to factor every potential impairment into your decision-making process, whether it be physical, emotional, cognitive, behavioral, or even sensory or environmental. I know it sounds a little crazy, but something as simple as a throw rug can directly affect what our patients are able to do safely and to what extent. So always keep in mind that safety is the foundational tenet of home health care, and it pretty much dictates everything that we do, every visit that we make. And I know sometimes clinicians can feel like, those in the office are, in essence, changing, their codes unnecessarily, but the truth of the matter is, once you kind of take all of this into account, a lot of times we underscore our MOO questions, but that's just a little bit of food for thought. And so, my friends, that will pretty much conclude this video. Please comment below. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if it was helpful to you in any way. And I would love it most if you were to share some of your own thoughts, tips, or experiences as it relates to M1820. And of course, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And in the meantime, you know the deal, okay? Take care of yourself, be safe, and of course, thank you for all that you do daily as nurses out here in these streets, literally. So take care, guys, and we can't wait to see you next time.